The Epoch Times has corrected a really, really big story, a story that I'd say has gone viral, and no pun intended, because it's about New York City's vaccine mandate and a judge's decision to essentially order that sanitation workers who filed a petition against the city and did not get vaccinated should get their jobs back with back pay. If you check the Epoch Times story now, the headline says, "Judge strikes down New York City vaccine mandate." But the original headline said, "Judge strikes down New York City vaccine mandate for all city workers." And at the end of the article, there's a correction that says, "The judge's ruling does not specifically apply to all New York City workers, only those who filed the petition. The Epoch Times regrets the error." And that is a significant mistake if you're trying to understand the story itself and really how widespread the results or effects will be on New York City workers, because only 16 people filed this petition. So if it only applies to the petitioners, that's 16 people versus, almost 2,000 people who were fired over the vaccine mandate. A lot of outlets covered this story, and not all of them made that clarification. They may not have expressly said it's for all city workers, like the Epoch Times did say originally in its headline, but they also didn't necessarily make it that easy for people to understand. The New York Post, for instance, has this as the headline: "Judge tosses New York City COVID vaccine mandate, orders fired city workers back pay." And you have to scroll down, pretty far to see that the ruling came in response to a suit filed earlier this year by 16 former sanitation department workers who were fired in February for refusing to get vaccinated, and only applies to them. You can see this specification pretty clearly if you read to the very end of the judge's decision, which again, a lot of reporters don't have time to do. Yeah, it might seem crazy. You are reporting on something you have not read, but unfortunately that's not that uncommon. But anyway, you can see here that it says the terminated petitioners are hereby reinstated to their full employment, and the petitioners are entitled to back pay and salary from the date of the termination. So it's all saying petitioners, petitioners, petitioners. It's not all New York City workers. I'm not sure how the reporter at the Epoch Times got his information. I did reach out to him and the attorney actually on this case to have both of them on. I actually thought this would be a great learning tool, not just for journalists, but also for consumers to understand how this kind of stuff happens. It may have just been an unintentional error, and a well-meaning journalist. I've talked many times on this channel about how there are well-intentioned people in the media business who are given like zero time to get things done, or maybe they're repeating what they see in the wires and the wire got it wrong. There's all kinds of reasons that the media gets things wrong that aren't necessarily always the Darth Vader puppeteer that we would envision in our heads. Not to say that doesn't exist, but just to say I think this would be a good learning opportunity. So I'd love to have him on, like I said, along with the attorney who filed suit for these petitioners. But again, there were a lot of alternative outlets, like a lot of YouTubers were talking about this, and also mainstream media, and it wasn't just the Epoch Times that I think made the mistake, whether it was blatantly saying all city workers or just not clarifying that it only applied to those specific city workers. Now, this ruling may end up eventually applying to all New York City workers. Who knows? It could set precedent for future lawsuits to come, or some other legal action. But as for now, it only applies to 16 petitioners, not basically over 1,700 who were fired as a part of New York City's vaccine mandate. So anyway, just wanted to clarify that for everybody, because I've been getting a lot of questions about it. I know there are a lot of folks who were celebrating that decision and feeling like what folks have suffered has been so unfair that this felt like a really big, big, big win. Now, there are some questions about itself, even if it did apply to all of the New York City workers, whether this was genuinely a big win against mandates, because there are all kinds of caveats for why it was considered arbitrary and capricious, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Also, don't forget, you can support my work over at AllisonMorrow.locals.com and pitch story ideas like this one. This was actually a story that a local subscriber sent to me. I went and checked on it, and that's how I found out about the correction. It's a great way to get story ideas and interviews on this channel and to ask questions of interviews ahead of time. Also, you can participate in my editorial board meeting every week. So it's a great way to support my work. Also, go to AllisonWinePromo.com if you're looking for gifts as the holidays approach. You get 50% off some amazing high altitude, super remote vineyard type Malbecs from Argentina. These are some of my favorite wines and not wines you can get at the grocery store. So go check out AllisonWinePromo.com. Again, 50% off the wine and 50% off shipping. You can also go to TwinEngineCoffee.com/Allison and choose from a wide variety of high altitude roasts from Nicaragua, light roast, dark roast. There's a limited black edition, which is very good, very smooth coffee. And also a Caturra tea, which is tea that you brew using the fruit that's around the coffee bean. So wherever you are, whatever you're drinking and whatever headlines you're reading, remember, drink the last drop and also read to the last line. And I will see you next time.